current affairs commentator Einar Tangen joins me from Beijing to talk more about China's role and Wang Yi's speech to the General Assembly. Einar, what theme do you think the foreign minister really needs to drive home in his UN address?
Well, it's just going to be about multilateralism. I mean, China doesn't change its tune. It's a very deliberative process, and it won't be personal. There won't be any mention of Trump as an individual. Donald Trump personalizes everything. He vilifies anybody he doesn't like, but that is not the Chinese style. It's a state-to-state relationship, and they will continue the course.
Last year, when he addressed the assembly, trade war was not. Hadn't been, hadn't happened yet. So now trade war certainly dominating discussions, a lot of concern about where it's headed, with no clear resolution in sight. Do you think he will bring that up?
We want to see that time come.
Well, I don't know that he's going to look at the historical issues. I think it's really about looking forward. How do you approach the rest of the world and share two vastly different visions? I mean, it's going to be a study in contrast. You have Donald Trump, who got up there, and it was very, very difficult to see how he won any points. The laughter, I don't think it was with him. I think it was at him. Wang Yi is going to give up. He's going to give a very sober speech. He's going to be talking about the world order, how you go forward with a mutual win-win situation. And I think it's going to be very well received, especially as, you know, there's so much uncertainty over Donald Trump. He did not help himself with that hour and 20-minute press conference afterwards, where it just seemed like he could not focus on things and resorted to making a lot of generalizations which were in fact not true.
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. Talk about the divisions that our reporter Nathan King was telling us about when it comes to DPRK. U.S. apparently wants to stick with strong sanctions. Russia and China and others want to see an easing of those sanctions. How big is this divide?
Well, it's going to be playing out in the UN. I mean, obviously, the U.S. can continue its unilateral moves as it's done with Iran. The question is, what's going to happen at this next summit? Obviously, Kim Jong is not going to just say, okay, I give up all my nuclear weapons in return for promises from you, Donald Trump, because you're so trustworthy and predictable. So obviously, he will be looking for assurances, a step-by-step approach. And this is the main division between the things. There's the realistic approach, which you offer carrot and stick to the DPRK in order to realize this denuclearization. And there's this kind of fantasy that I think Pompeo has pushed, that no economic sanctions will be reversed until there's a complete denuclearization.
Let me move on to Iran. How instrumental has China been in really trying to salvage this nuclear agreement? China and Russia, EU all say they are still committed to the JCPOA.
Well, I think everyone outside the United States is committed. The issue is implementation. You'll note a few days ago the European Union started setting up separate banking lines so that companies within the EU would not be forced under pressure of the U.S. trade dollar to stop doing business in Iran. China has had a very, very important effect because they've signaled that they have no intention of boycotting Iranian oil. So that is very important, especially to Iran. They're trying to figure out how they can weather this situation. Is it a question of strategic patience for them? Can they outweight Donald Trump? Is his vision going to fail? Or, you know, is he going to push something and actually make it into a military confrontation, which is what everybody fears?
All right, we'll leave it there. Einar Tangen, thank you.